I didn't really work as a lawyer until I graduated from law school, and then I was lucky enough to clerk for a federal judge who was a terrific trial judge. After that, I taught legal research and writing at the University of Connecticut Law School as an adjunct professor. After that, I went to work for a small law firm. It was called Buckley and Santos, working for F. Mac Buckley. It was a former federal prosecutor and a public defender. And Hubert Santos, who was a former federal public defender. They were terrific mentors. They really taught me how to think like a lawyer. I got to go to court with them. I got to talk to them about my cases, and but they, essentially hired me, and eventually I developed my own civil practice doing a lot of employment litigation, sex discrimination.
What was the time frame?
The time frame was from 1976. When I graduated law school, till 1977, I clerked for Judge Zampiano. The clerkship ended at the end of August. I took some time off and then went right to work for Buckley and Santos. I made $13,000 a year. That was a drop of $5,000, by the way, from my clerkship. And I made as much as the secretary, I soon discovered, in that office.
And did you end up doing criminal defense work?
I did, because that's what the firm did. So I had to do some criminal defense work, but they actually hired me because they wanted to develop their civil litigation. The civil litigation that I did had sort of criminal counterparts. I visited a lot of GAs and, all around the state of Connecticut. And by the way, as a lawyer in that small practice, yes. I went all over the state in virtually every court imaginable, probate courts, family courts, criminal courts. From one end of this, literally from Danielson to Stamford to New London to Bridgeport, Second Circuit to United States District Court in New Haven and Hartford, the Connecticut Supreme Court, the appellate court, before that the appellate session. I had, for somebody who was afraid to stand up and give a speech in her 2-credit speech class in undergraduate school, I did a lot of speaking in a lot of courts. Ultimately, I stayed there for about 18 years, and at the end our firm was Santos, Peck, and Seeley, and that was in 1996, and then I went on the bench.
Sounds like you very much enjoyed private practice and found it challenging and exciting. Why give that up to go on the bench?
At the time I did not want to do it. My practice, I really did love practice, although it really was exhausting. I had developed a specialty in representing victims of sexual abuse, sexual harassment, sex discrimination, various other kinds of discrimination, disability discrimination. I did some significant workers' comp cases. I didn't have a volume practice, but I did some interesting things with workers' comp involving secondhand smoke and various kinds of disabilities. So, and I also did commercial litigation in the federal court.
So, given all that, why the bench?
It was an opportunity that presented itself. That the climate was right. It's a political appointment, and I ultimately, you have to apply to be a judge and go through a selective process and be approved by a bipartisan commission made up of lay people and lawyers, but ultimately you have to be appointed by the governor. The time was kind of right politically for me to do it. As a judge, from 1996, the first assignment that I had was a criminal assignment, as most judges, 6 months in the GA in Waterbury, which really teaches you how to make decisions and and live with them. And after that 6 months, I was assigned to juvenile. I did juvenile neglect and abuse and delinquency cases in Willimantic and in Rockville. And I did that until I was assigned to 95 Washington Street as a civil judge in 1998. I started out in Hartford in 1998, stayed there for 4 years, and then went to New Britain as a complex litigation judge, civil complex litigation. I did that for 3 years.
Is it fair to characterize those as heavy lifting positions within the judiciary?
Definitely heavy lifting. Juvenile, difficult, challenging. Freddie Brenneman was a wonderful mentor to me. She helped me through that. She guided me in that experience, and I am so grateful to her. And I came as civil judge, I went to Hartford. Sam Teller was assigned in Hartford, and he took me under his wing. He's still a friend, and even today, he's still somebody I talk to about cases from time to time. After complex litigation in New Britain, I went out to Rockville, where I did, oh my God, I was the presiding judge. I was the OJ, as we call it, the only judge. I did all the short calendar, all the foreclosures, all the trials. The second year I became there was 2 of us, and then it became less interesting to me. So I asked to be reassigned, and I was assigned to the housing court in Hartford for 3 months. Fascinating experience, but then I went off to New London for 2 years. And ultimately, after New London, I came back to Hartford. And I have been in Hartford now. This is my 7th year back in Hartford. I'm now a judge trial referee, and I will likely be in Hartford because that's where the need is. The cases I have are incredibly challenging. I do enjoy being busy, and I do love the challenges. I've had some great cases in Hartford, everything from voting cases to serious personal injury cases to all kinds of, construction litigation, employment litigation, administrative appeals.
Is there anything else about your life or career that you'd like to discuss with us?
I've had an incredible opportunity both as a judge and a lawyer to do things and make decisions that really impact, I hope positively, people's lives. And that's certainly something you can accomplish as a lawyer in practice, is representing individuals. And but by making, as a judge, by making thoughtful and careful decisions, you can affect people's lives in a positive way. That is what I hope I have been able to accomplish as a judge.